Welcome to the Venture Soul Speaks with SPAC episode 1. I'm grateful to be here, grateful to have you here. Thank you for joining me. Today's episode is going to be all about the venture that it's been so far. How I went from the typical 9 to 5 office life, working a job that sucked my soul dry, living in this volatile way of life, partying all weekend, losing brain cells, having surface level conversations, and feeling really unfulfilled, feeling like there was this deep void the whole time. To now, for the last 2 years, traveling around the world, living in 6 different countries over the last 2 years, and pursuing an alternative way of life. I consider myself to be on this self-led education venture, learning through my own personal experience. That has been where my greatest lessons and blessings have come from. Far greater than any teacher has taught me in a classroom, any self-development book, any podcast. The greatest lessons that I have had have come through my own personal experience and venturing into the discomfort of the unknown. So that's lesson 1 for today, is to go after what is handwritten on your heart, to lean in to the thing that excites you and scares you at the same time, because that's where the magic lies. That is where you discover who you are at your core. And for me, this is where I've learned so much about myself, and I've also learned how little I really fucking know. It's humbling, it's scary, and it's exciting at the same time. So today's episode, straight off the bat, I'm gonna give you 5 huge lessons that have come as a result of me traveling the world for the last 2 years. And I believe these lessons will be really helpful for you on your journey, even if you're in a job right now that you don't really like, even if you're in a relationship that doesn't fulfill you right now, if you feel like it's holding you back. I guarantee these 5 lessons are going to help you in one way or another. So, to dive straight in, lesson number 1, the biggest one for me, has been shifting my relationship to the unknown. I used to live in fear. My life was riddled by fear. I would hold myself back and sit on the sidelines, looking at what everyone else was doing, in fear of how others would judge and perceive me when I stepped into something that was new and unfamiliar. I was so attached to this identity, this ego that I had built up around who I thought I was. I was the weekend warrior. I was the party goer. I was working an office job that I didn't enjoy. And I always felt like there was more to life. There was something greater for me out there. And I guess that's what sparked this journey in the beginning. But to come back to my point, the lesson here is my relationship to the unknown. And as I said, my relationship was riddled with fear. I was scared of what was going to happen if I did something new and unfamiliar and uncomfortable. I was in fear of how others would perceive me, the fact that I'd lose friends, the fact that my family might not even understand. And so in November of 2021, when I decided to take the leap and book a one-way flight to the US, with no real plan after that, there was a lot of resistance that came up within me. My family couldn't understand what I was doing. They thought that I was fucking crazy. And there was an aspect of me that thought I was pretty fucking crazy at the same time. But there was something deeper within me that knew that it was the right decision to make in that moment. And so my relationship to the unknown has continued to evolve and change. And I would describe my relationship to the unknown now as a relationship of excitement and curiosity. I could be worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, or I could be focused on how things could go horribly wrong, or I could become very curious about the infinite number of opportunities that exist in this moment right now, the infinite number of ways that I could choose to perceive this moment that I'm in right now. And so my relationship to the unknown is more about asking, why would I not do this right now? Why would I not go after what I'm excited about? Even if there's elements of fear. It's not that I don't feel fear. It's that I'm able to experience and embrace the fear without holding myself back in the way that I used to. So remember, you get to choose your relationship to the unknown. Do you want to relate to the unknown from a place of fear and lack and limitation and putting up walls and barriers about all the reasons why you can't do what you want to do? Or can you become curious and consider all the reasons why life can work for you, how life is working for you, how stepping into something new and unfamiliar will open an infinite number of doors New people, places, opportunities, and experiences come as a result of you stepping into the thing that excites you and scares you at the same time. And I believe that no great story, as cliche as it sounds, begins by staying in the familiar yet uncomfortable situation, pattern of your past. So that's lesson number one, shifting the relationship I have to the unknown. Lesson number two on this journey has been shifting the relationship that I have with myself and with others, because ultimately the way that I relate to myself is how I relate to others. And so I remember growing up, I was very outward focused. I was very in fear of what others were thinking about me, what others were saying about me. I didn't feel comfortable really connecting and expressing and even being able to make sense of what I was feeling internally. I felt like I was at the effect of everything and everyone around me. And so, for example, I would go to house parties, I would go to bars and clubs, and I would stand back and I would observe. And within that was this idea of me thinking that I'm cool and that people will be drawn to me and come to me. But I think more so what it was this fear of really expressing myself and expressing who I am, and this fear of how others would perceive me. And so this held me back from really connecting with other people. And again, I think that this came from going to a school, an all-boys private school, where it was, the bro-y bros, and it was very much about who's got the biggest muscles, who's got the biggest dick, who's got the most girls, and all of this kind of surface level crap. And, of course I embraced it because it was familiar, it was my environment, but there was a part of me that thought that this is not right. There's more to connecting with another person. And so basically, when I set out on this journey, the first stop that I had was in Austin, Texas in November of 21. And I discovered an empowered brotherhood, this men's community full of strong, powerful, masculine men. And I connected with the group via Telegram, and they have a weekly workout that they offer free to any man that wants to come and join and be a part of it. And I felt called to go and do that. Even though it was scary, it was unfamiliar, I was going to be going into a new environment with a bunch of powerful men. I definitely went in there nervous, but also curious to know what it would be like. And I remember arriving there, it was a cold morning in Austin, Texas. It was 8 a.m. in the morning, and there was a bunch of men around, all getting warmed up. And they welcomed me in with open arms immediately. They had no idea who I was. I had no idea who they were. But it was like they were my long-lost brothers, and they welcomed me in like I was one of them. There was no real separation. It was as though all of the ideas that I thought that were true about myself had dissolved completely in a few moments. And so this workout that we did together was intense. It was a bodyweight workout. There was a lot of cardio involved, and we broke off into groups. We worked individually as well. And so by the end of the workout, I was gassed. It was an exhausting workout. But then at the end, one of the coaches brought us in and started speaking and expressing a story. And I could feel immediately the relatability within what it was that he was sharing. And it cracked me open. It cracked other brothers in the group open as well. There were men around me crying, and it was just an experience that I'd never felt before. And after that, we started dancing to the music that I had going and embracing this inner child that I hadn't really embraced in a long time. And so this one morning was very profound, very enlivening, and it made me realize how many people out there are willing to see me for who I am, beyond the stories, beyond the limitations, beyond all of the ideas that I've built up about myself. And so the lesson that I want to share with you here is to put yourself out there, is to explore the abundance of opportunities out there, the different communities that are out there, the different people out there. If you don't feel like you're in a friend group right now that is really aligned with you and the highest version of you, then what are you waiting for? Get out there and explore the different communities that are all around the world. And this brings me to lesson number 3, which is my relationship to nature, to God, to source, to spirit, to whatever you want to call it, the thing that connects all of us. Growing up, I was in a Catholic family, in a Catholic school. I went to church, and there was just something within me that did not resonate with the idea of religion at all. It felt like it was a lie. It felt like one of those things that, I get it, but it doesn't make sense. I can't fully believe in it. And so I remember going to church a couple times as a young kid with my family, and that didn't last that long. And even in religion at school, it was like the boringest subject of my life. So I became what you could consider an atheist, a non-believer. Everything is the way that it is, and it couldn't be any other way. The world is fixed, I'm fixed. My cards have been dealt for me, and this is it. And this all shifted very massively when I landed in Costa Rica. After being in the US for 3 months, I ended up in Costa Rica for 6 months. To begin with, I had no idea I was going to be in Costa Rica for as long as I was. But there was something magical about Costa Rica. I had envisioned and visualized and had ideas come through about journeying with plant medicine before getting to Costa Rica. And I'd understood that it's a bit of a hotspot for people to go and visit and to experience those journeys. But I also realized and had this knowingness that it wasn't going to fix or solve my problems. It wasn't going to do the work for me. And so it was like little by little, this ego, this identity that I'd built up around me being the weekend warrior, the office worker, it was slowly dissolving. And so anyway, one morning in Costa Rica, this was in my 3rd month of being in Costa Rica, I did a meditation and I set this intention. I visualized myself meeting a community of people that are on a similar path, people that I felt connected to. And after coming out of this meditation, within 20 minutes, I heard these big, deep jungle drums. And I could sense that they were close. I knew that they were close by. And I had this pull to go and explore and to see what was going on. And so I was staying in an Airbnb that was located at the bottom of this valley. It was immersed in the jungle, but there were other properties around. So I started walking towards the sound of this drum. And I arrived in this space where there was 30 people, shirtless, what looked like face paint across their faces, drums playing, guitar playing, huge fire in the center, these guys with red bandanas around their heads. And I was like, what the fuck have I walked into? What is going on here right now? And before I knew it, one of the guys there who I could sense was the leader of the space, who was holding the space, looked at me and he saw me and he smiled at me. And these people that I ran into, they had this vibrancy about them. It was like they were so alive and they were just immersed in the jungle in this space. And he said, hey, he said, welcome. Have you ever done Temescal before? And I was like, what is Temescal? What the fuck is Temescal? And to break this down very simply for you, it's essentially an indigenous sweat lodge. It's a practice, an ancient healing practice that was founded in Peru and Mexico and perhaps other areas of the world as well. And it's basically a dome structure built out of flexible wood. It's also built out of other materials as well, but this particular one was built out of wood, insulated with blankets and towels. And within the fire, there's volcanic stones that get super red hot. They sit in the fire for hours and hours. And there's 4 fire eagles, fuego águilas, that hold the fire, that take care of the fire. And the reason there's 4 is because of the 4 directions, northeast, southwest, the 4 elements, air, earth, fire, water. And so I had walked into this with no idea what the fuck I was getting myself into. But I was excited. There was a deeper intuitive feeling within me that said, this is right, this is safe, lean in. So they invited me in, and long story short, I spent the next 6 hours in this Temescal sweating alongside these incredible human beings. The maracas were in there, the drums were in there, we were chanting, we were praying, we were singing. And I came out of this Temescal feeling purified, feeling as though I had just released a lot, feeling connected, feeling grateful, feeling alive. They invited me in for a hot pot of soup. And I was like, wow, I've got a month to stay at this Airbnb, and these humans are very interesting. I've never experienced anything like this before. And so over the next month of me staying in this Airbnb, I felt drawn to go back and back and back and spend time with these people and learn from them and share my energy with them and volunteer. And I ended up developing an incredible relationship with these human beings. I was invited to a retreat where we hiked deep into the jungle. We spent the night sleeping in a cave. And I had the opportunity to get to know these people and understand what this whole place was about. And what I discovered is that this place is an ethnobotanical plant sanctuary. So essentially, the incredible human being Chris Norris, who owns and has created this space, he's called it the Living Library in Costa Rica. He preserves the ancient wisdom that is encoded within powerful psychoactive medicinal plants: ayahuasca, San Pedro, huachuma, peyote, and I've never experienced anything like this before in my life. And I was slowly becoming more aware of the connection that I have to everything and everyone and nature. But this experience and opportunity accelerated that journey. I had the opportunity to sit in ceremony with indigenous elders from Mexico. I had the opportunity to spend a whole week with them where they taught us about Temazcal, the art of Temazcal, the history behind Temazcal, and we would do a Temazcal every single day, 4 days in a row. And the Temazcal, let me break this down, is very intense. It's not necessarily a sauna. It's spiritual work. It's releasing and purifying and letting go and creating something new. And so I was very fortunate and honored to be a part of this experience. And so after my month of staying in this Airbnb, my intention was to go to Nicaragua, but there was something that was calling me to go and volunteer and to spend longer with these individuals. And so I ended up moving in next door and living at the Living Library for the next 3 months, volunteering there, learning how to work with nature, learning how to work with the elements: fire, air, earth, and water, learning how to serve Temazcal as a fire eagle alongside my incredible brothers from South Africa, from Costa Rica, from different parts of the world. And this journey helped me understand my connection to everything and everyone, and also helped me realize how little I truly know. And it's humbling, a little bit scary, and exciting at the same time. And after leaving Costa Rica, after my time here, it was as though I had to do something with this newfound awareness and knowledge and wisdom that I had experienced. Again, it comes back to this self-led education venture. My own personal experience has led to a deeper understanding of myself and the world. And this has been far greater than any kind of book, podcast, coach, course I have ever done. So, my relationship to God, to Source, to the universe, to whatever you want to call it, has changed massively beyond the religion, beyond the Bible, beyond the preachers, and it's all come through my own personal experience. So the lesson that is here for you is to lean into something new. If you don't believe what you've been told, forge your own path, go on your own journey, experience something for yourself, because until you experience it, you're kind of holding it in your mind based on other people's opinions and perspectives. And I'm not here to tell you that you should believe this or believe that. I'm here to simply share my own personal experience and how this has shaped where I am right now. So the next lesson that I want to share with you is the lesson of creating something new. I grew up with this idea that I was not creative, that I couldn't sing, I couldn't dance, I couldn't paint, I couldn't draw, I couldn't write, I couldn't do anything. There were so many limitations that I held on to, so many things that I hadn't explored, and as a result, the belief that I had was that I couldn't do it. I wasn't creative. And so what I've realized since starting my own online business, coaching people from all over the world, both in person and online, creating my own coaching platform, creating my own videos, my own content, as cliche as it sounds, we've all got to start somewhere. And what I realize now is that I'm an artist. I can bring a level of intention to everything that I do in life, whether it's the way that I'm preparing a meal, whether it's the way that I'm expressing and sharing ideas, whether it's the way that I'm moving my body, building strength, I can bring a level of presence and intention and awareness to what I'm doing to the point where it is an art. The way that I'm breathing can be an art when I'm bringing awareness and intention to it. So if you feel like you lack creativity, if you feel like you are not creative, if you feel like you are not able to express your ideas and your thoughts in a way that feels authentic to you, then the only moment that you have is now. The only way that you discover more of who you are is by expressing your thoughts and ideas, is by connecting with people and sharing your thoughts and ideas with other people. The only way that you can enhance your creativity is by letting go of the way that you should be doing this and should be doing that and how someone else told you you should think and act, and instead finding your own natural flow, going within and finding what feels real and true for you, discovering your own inner truth, whatever that means for you. And the way that I've been able to do this is by going after the thing that excites me and scares me at the same time, leaning in to the discomfort and the fear of the unknown, embracing it all and stepping in, putting myself out there, letting go of what others, not even letting go of what others think of me, because the reality is we all judge each other, ourselves, everything. And so what I'm learning is to embrace the judgment and the opinions of others without allowing that to take me off my path. That's not going to hold me back from sharing my ideas. So becoming more true and authentic from within has been a process of putting my thoughts and ideas out there, letting go of the attachment to whether it's right or wrong or good or bad, and focusing on progress over perfection, practicing each day. It takes a level of humility and also detaching from a particular outcome. I think when I first started putting my ideas and putting my offers out to the world, I was expecting clients to flood my inbox and that it was just going to all come to me so effortlessly. But what I've realized is that it's about how can I create from a place of centeredness and presence and groundedness, and create from a place of quality over quantity. Rather than focusing on volume, how can I focus on sharing something that feels real and true and authentic and good for me? So that's the final lesson, is that creativity lives within all of us. Creative energy is flowing through us constantly. And so for me, it has been getting out of the way, becoming a little less mind-based, more allowing my consciousness, my awareness to flow through me and my ideas to flow through me, and to share my ideas more often. And this has helped me tap into my creativity. And so I'm going to wrap this podcast here. This has been episode 1. This is a little hint at what is to come. This is actually going way longer than I initially planned. However, I trust that you've taken value from this. If you have, be a good friend, pass it forward. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Please reach out. This has been episode 1 of Soul Speaks with SPAC, signing out. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful day. Let's go.